កម្មវិធីកិច្ចសន្ទនាកម្ពុជានិងពិភពលោក
Good evening, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, welcome to Cambodia Global Dialogue or Southeast Asia TV. Tonight, it's a bit different because instead of focusing a lot on entrepreneurial development, I thought it'd be nice to also have a discussion on Cambodia relation with our development partner, our diplomatic partner, whatever you call. And I have the pleasure tonight to have His Excellency Ambassador Naveen, Ambassador to India, from India to Cambodia, to the Kingdom of Cambodia. And Naveen, a good friend of mine, who is the president of the Cambodia-India Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, okay, good. So anyway, we're going to try to cover as much as possible on the relation between our two countries. But what I like to have more discussion is more how we can develop this relation, this bilateral relation from the economic standpoint, from the people standpoint, from God knows from nowadays we love this word connectivity. So we're going to try to cover connectivity in most of the aspect we can think of. But Ambassador, my good friend, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Siphana. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to come on your show, which is, I understand, quite popular show. So hopefully people will get to know me better through your show. So thank you again for your opportunity. And I certainly, as you mentioned, from India's perspective, Cambodia is our friend from a very long time. When I say very long time, it spans centuries. Both India and Cambodia share civilization and contacts. In some sense, we are cousin brothers, separated by geographical distance. So I'm very happy to be posted to Cambodia. I came here last year. And I've been working with different agencies of the government, people like yourself, and I certainly look forward to carry on my work to improve the relations between India and Cambodia, which are already very good to start with.
Yes. Well, thank you, Ambassador. Sandeep, maybe a bit of background. I know you've been in Cambodia for a long time.
Yeah, it's like half of my, I'm turning 50. And
you're a young man.
20 years I've been in Cambodia, 23 years in this region. So Southeast Asia is like, has been with me for half the part of my life. As Ambassador said, yes, Cambodia-India relationship, of course, there's nothing that we can particularly talk about. It's been for ages, 2,000 years. ICC and embassy together, in fact, our main focus is to see how the bilateral relationship, trade particularly, grows further, and that's what other efforts that from the chambers we are trying to do. Of course, India, size of the country, size of the business globally that we have, comparatively Cambodia is quite small, which we need to grow, and our focus for the chamber will be to see how, and that is what I'm working with Ambassador, also with Embassy, to see that how we can improve this trade relationship with Cambodia.
Ambassador, I want to set the record straight first before we move to other things. Is that Cambodia is so appreciative of politically of India support to our country, because India is the first country in the post-war period to have recognized and set up an embassy in Cambodia. And then during the peace process, India has also dispatched peacekeeping force to help us, during that period. So I think you should look back, and 2 decades later, that the fruit of this support, of this contribution, have translated into something that we would owe a debt of gratitude.
Well, thank you. And I would refer back to not just 1981 when we recognized the post-war government and established an embassy here, but our support to Cambodia and our friendship with Cambodia is based on principles. And if you look, when Cambodia got independence from the French rule in the 1950s, India was one of the first countries to establish relationship with Cambodia. Our Prime Minister visited.
Yes.
In fact, our first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, and King Father had a very good relationship.
Yes.
And King Father visited India at that point several times. They were together in the non-aligned movement.
Yes, I was about to say that.
And subsequently, I think India also played a role along with Canada and Poland in the commission that was formed to look at Indochina.
Yes.
So I think our relationship and our stance politically has always been guided by our, as I said, the civilizational context. Cambodia and India share so many similarities. Culture is certainly one of that. But we've always also championed the cause of developing world.
Yes.
And that principle was much in display when we established our embassy here in
Yes.
1981. And I am really happy to note that our Cambodian friends acknowledge that. But it's not exactly a favor granted. It's, I think, mutual friendship where there are no favors granted to each other.
Yes.
And I think we are proud of the fact that we were able to stand by Cambodia in its hour of need and help Cambodia then in different projects. For example, in 1986, when our Archaeological Survey of India came to Angkor to help repair Angkor from 1986 to 1993, if I'm correct, at a point when nobody else was here. At a point it was a very risky endeavor also, because the civil war had not completely stopped.
Yes.
And in Siem Reap there were still incidents under which our team worked with the active collaboration and cooperation of the Cambodian friends. So I think India and Cambodia, our friendship is based on principles and values.
Yes.
And I think that is the good thing about our relationship. It's not based on what you can do for
Yes.
me or what I'll do for you. It's
Yes.
a very transactional
Yes,
kind of
yes.
thing. India has always followed foreign policy based on principles and values, and that's where our relationship is.
Well, speaking of foreign policy, we fast forward to the present time.
Sure.
And in the last couple of years, Cambodia is part of the Mekong sub-region and ASEAN, of course. We are very pleased to see India moving from the look east policy to act east policy.
Sure.
And Prime Minister Modi has been very active in promoting this now act east policy.
Yes, yes.
Which we in Cambodia will stand to benefit tremendously from this policy deepening.
Certainly. You were very right. I mean, India had followed a look east policy since 1990s when Prime Minister Narasimha Rao was in chair. And that had helped in developing our close links with Southeast Asia. But this policy got a total new momentum when Prime Minister Modi assumed office in May 2014. And as you very rightly said, he changed the slogan from look east to act east, and certainly we've been very active in promoting our relationship with entire ASEAN, but particularly so with Cambodia and Laos and Myanmar and Vietnam, which are called CLMV
Yes.
in the general parlance. But and that has been evident in number of initiatives that have been announced by our government, and the different cooperation programs that are ongoing right now or being planned in the future. From India's perspective, certainly we see Southeast Asia as an extension of our neighborhood. And Prime Minister Modi's policies also is neighborhood first, which means Southeast Asia region. But when you look at extended neighborhood, our prosperity is linked to our extended neighborhood
Yes.
prosperity. in this globalized world.
Yes.
Although today, if you look at several elections results in different countries, there would be debate as to all the benefits of globalization reaching all sections of the population. But I think in India, as a developing country, and in Southeast Asia, there is no doubt people feel that globalization has helped.
Yes, indeed.
And connectivity and more interconnections between regions are beneficial to each of the participants. So from our perspective, India's northeast is where Southeast Asia begins.
Yes. So the link, the bridge is there.
Bridge is already there. And historically it has been there.
Yes.
Historically, movements of populations or influence of culture, all is an evidence of that bridge being there.
Yes.
What we are doing is we are rediscovering the past, in a sense, and acting on it to build new bridges of cooperation.
Yes. Well, I mean, speaking of prosperity, speaking of this connectivity, Sandeep, you've been here 20 years, 23 years in the region. You probably can testify quite a bit into the development, the business relation, the investment link between India and Cambodia. What's your perspective on that?
Yes, I mean, for the last 8 to 10 years, we have seen a rapid shift in the business growth. Well, before that, if you see, there were limited sectors, if you talk about Cambodia. But other countries where I have lived, like Singapore and Malaysia, Thailand, there, of course, the business links have been for many more years before that. The population of India is higher, people are there for 70 years, 100 years, traders, Indians who have moved in, even Myanmar for that matter. Comparatively, Cambodia, business-wise, a few sectors had started well, and from there, in the last 8 to 10 years, we have seen a growth into diversified business which were not there before. Past 5 years, particularly if you see, and with the Act's policy also, there are a lot of new ventures which are being tried here, which was never seen before, and those are being seen as a heavy investments. Like if it is agriculture was there here, right? Okay, now real estate is something which is looked into. Small scale industries are being looked into. Hospitality industry is being looked into. So these sectors probably will give a growth to the Indian investment in this region.
Well, I think it's a good start, right?
It's a good start.
I think bilaterally, let's face it, India is a giant, a giant democracy for that matter. Not just a giant, biggest democracy, right? Cambodia is very small population size-wise and everything, but I think there are a lot of potential of Cambodia learning from India. I think India have a very good, I would say, policy made in India. You have all this whole thing, and if you look at if we throw some number, it's very impressive, right? In the competitiveness index, in the sort of like the ranking of FDI inflow to India, in the IT world, in the government, you're number 2 in the world. All these are so impressive. So how can we, Cambodia, number 1, learn, and number 2, how can we tap that relationship? And this is something that when we come back from the break, I'll definitely like to hear first on India, and then hopefully, yes, exactly. So we take a short break. Ambassador, please.
All right. It's good you brought up the topic about trade and investment and our economic relationship. As Sandeep said, we have very good relationship with Cambodia, especially in culture, people-to-people contact, political relationship. Our economic relationship has not really kept pace with the size of India's economy, or looking also at the fact that Cambodia's own economy has been growing for last couple of years at 7%. So I think
2 decades.
2 decades. So we should have been able to tap into opportunities of growth both in India and Cambodia, and businesses should have been able to do much better than what they have. But nevertheless, over the last 5 years or 6 years, there has been a very steady increase. Our trade last year was about 190 million, while India's exports are growing at about 5%. I'm happy to tell you that Cambodia's export last year grew at 25%.
Wow.
And partly this is because the government of India has adopted a policy since a couple of years now
Yes.
to provide duty-free access to Cambodian
Yes.
goods.
Yes.
And I think out of all tariff lines, 98% of the goods can be exported to India duty-free.
Yes.
Um,
Quota free also. Right?
and quota-free.
Quota.
Yeah, there is quota-free, there is duty-free.
Yes.
Secondly, Government of India has put a special emphasis on building economic linkages with CLMV countries and is encouraging our trade houses, our export promotion councils. We have several export promotion councils which are semi-autonomous body, supported by our Ministry of Commerce but run by the industry, which promote exports of particular items or particular sector
Yes.
outside India. And earlier this year, for example, we've had 3 major exhibitions on engineering goods,
Yes. Yes.
on electronic goods, and so on and so forth. So more and more business delegations are coming here, and I'm very hopeful this will lead not just to trade growth, which
Yes.
which is, I think, a short-term target, but an investment growth.
Yes.
Also.
Well, we start to see some.
There is
Major one,
There is
right?
already.
Yes.
There is already. For example, one thing which you will see on traffic is Indian-made tuk-tuks.
Yes, yes.
These are one of the largest company in India,
Yes.
Bajaj.
And they have free Wi-Fi. It's amazing.
Yes. Well, the distributor here has been creative enough to
Yes.
work with the local partners.
Yes.
And I see increasing visibility of Indian tuk-tuks in not just in Phnom Penh but
Yes.
also in Siem Reap. So that's one thing, but they're also into motorcycles.
Yes.
And he tells me the motorcycles business is also doing well. Right now they are, I think, waiting for CDC approval for their QIP
Yes.
project, and they hope to invest in building up an
The
assembly.
bike, right? The big bike.
Big
right?
bike.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Similarly, Tata, which is
Yes.
one of our largest conglomerates and one of the largest in the world, has been here in Cambodia selling farm equipment. But they are now actively looking at expanding their presence
Okay.
and getting into automobile business.
Okay.
Tata's are India's largest commercial vehicle manufacturer. They also have, they had bought over Korea's Daewoo
Oh, is that right? Ah.
a long time back.
And Land Rover, of course, right?
And Land Rover is part. So trucks and all that, they are looking at entering into the Cambodian market with smaller trucks, which
Yeah.
there could be a huge demand. So, as I said, we are looking at a possibility of increased, enhanced investments from India
Yes.
in different sectors.
Yes.
We are discussing with the Cambodian government a bilateral investment treaty, which hopefully would provide a legal
Yes.
and an institutional framework to promote such
Yes.
investments.
Are you also considering a double taxation treaty at some point?
We would certainly welcome a double taxation treaty, but my own understanding is Cambodia is going step by step.
Yes.
You've just now, I think, signed one with Singapore and then
China. Recently with China.
Yeah, and you're going first with ASEAN, and then
Yes.
so certainly we will wait whenever the Cambodian government
Yes.
is ready, because Indian government has signed DTA with several countries across
Yes.
the world, and that when I joined my post here and I had discussions with our chambers of
Yes.
commerce back in India. Two things they had mentioned to me was investment treaty and DTA.
DTA,
So
yes.
investment treaty we have been discussing, and we should be able to finalize it fairly close.
Okay.
Quickly. Indian government has already approved
Okay,
the text
okay.
that we've agreed. I think Cambodian government is going through its own process,
Yes.
and that should happen. But that will provide the government-to-government linkages,
framework,
which
yeah.
should allow businesses to grow. The other aspect that we've been working closely with the Indian Chamber of Commerce as well as the Ministry of Commerce is to ensure that more and more Cambodian businesses are able to visit India.
Yes, yes.
You mentioned about
Exposure is important.
Exposure is important.
Yeah.
Our Vice President, as soon as I came last year, our Vice President had visited Cambodia in September.
Yes.
And during his discussions with Samdech Prime Minister, both the leaders recognized that to improve business contacts, it's necessary for chambers of commerce to interact more frequently, more business delegations to
Yes.
visit each other's countries.
Yes.
So not only we are trying Indian delegations to come here, India, for example, does a number of exhibitions throughout the year, and we have been actively working with the Cambodia Chamber of Commerce, the Youth
Yes.
Young
Entrepreneur
Entrepreneurs
Association.
the Women's
Yes.
Association, and FASMEC, and encouraging them to send their delegates to
Yes.
various exhibitions, and the response so far has been good. And I hope these exchanges would lead to more business opportunities.
Yes.
Because frankly, business is done by businessmen,
Exactly.
not by
I agree.
bureaucrats.
I agree.
And they would have a better idea
Yes.
to seek out opportunities or to capitalize
Yes.
on opportunities. So my appeal through you would be to to Cambodian businesses
Yes.
to look at India.
Yes. Yeah.
And here I would like to give some figures about India's growth.
Yes.
In the last, since Prime Minister Modi took power, we have made conscious efforts to bring India back to a high growth path, and he has adopted a series of policies which have, as you mentioned, increased global competitive index ranking of India,
Yes.
substantially increased our ease of doing business. Most of things are made online. As our slogan says, instead of red tape,
Yeah.
we have red carpet for
That
foreign
is a
business.
beautiful.
And India today is, I think, #1 destination for FDI in the world, and that's been acknowledged by several independent agencies. So for Cambodian businessmen and businesswomen, I think India can be a very good partner in whatever they
Yes.
wish to source or
Yes.
whatever technology they want to bring.
Speaking of technology, India is probably sort of like corner about what 60-70% of the IT world already.
Well, we have a substantial chunk for the
Yeah.
outsourcing business.
Yes.
Plus, also the Indian IT industry has benefited not just from our large talent pool, but lots of foreign technology companies have set up their biggest R&D center outside their home country.
Yes.
So, for example, if you're looking at Google, their biggest R&D center would be in India. Similarly, for GE.
Infosys is
Infosys
is an Indian
is an
company.
Indian
right?
company. Infosys is an Indian company. So IT sector is certainly a very big strength of India.
Yes.
And this is one area we are working with Indian Chamber of Commerce here in Cambodia. Early next year to do an IT kind of exchange between Indian IT companies and the Cambodian counterparts. Because
Yes, the ICT Federation.
ICT Federation.
Okay, yeah,
because in the last 1 year I've seen the youth in Cambodia are pretty active and want to make new startups. And IT is a great leveler
Yes,
in a
yes,
sense.
yes.
In India too, we have a comparatively young population, more than 60% being about 25 years or less, something similar to Cambodia. And so to encourage them to not just only look for job opportunities.
Yeah.
Last year, Prime Minister Modi and Government of India launched a very, very unique initiative. It was called Startup India. And Startup India is basically that government will come up with policies which will make it easier for young entrepreneurs who would face problems of capital, problems of getting a workspace, etc., to encourage them to form their own startup and get into entrepreneurship. So instead of being job seekers,
Yeah.
they become job creators.
Creators, yes.
And this policy has been there for 1 year and it has led to tremendous results. There's a tremendous enthusiasm amongst college graduates to create their own businesses. Now, some of them will succeed, some will fail, but that's the part of life.
Yes, yes.
But that brings in a spirit of adventure. And that's something which I see in Cambodia too. It's happening. I
Yes.
see reports regularly. And I think if we were able to do through this IT
Yes.
program that we are going to be working through ICT Foundation, bring in Indian expertise or Indian people who are doing it and,
Yes.
and connect them with the Cambodians, I think there could be IT solutions which they will be able to work out.
Yes, yes,
Which can, as I said, technology is a great level.
yes,
Today, for example, e-commerce, whether you're in Cambodia or in India,
Yes.
e-commerce has become a norm.
yes.
Even in Cambodia, you can order meal through various apps.
Yes,
It gets
indeed,
delivered.
indeed.
You can make payments also. So, those are the kind of things we are hoping can lead to more people-to-people connection and businesses connection. I must add that in IT sector, India has been collaborating well with the government of Cambodia.
Yes.
We have an IT center which is running out of Phnom Penh, India-Cambodia IT Center.
Okay.
Its scale is not very big, but it's been doing very well.
Yes.
Now, encouraged by that, a year back, Government of India had proposed to Government of Cambodia to establish a large-scale sustainable IT structure.
Yes, yes.
And we were encouraged by the response. So right now we are working with your Ministry of Posts and
Okay.
Telegraph, and we've already signed an agreement. Several Cambodian scientists and technicians have been trained in India.
Okay.
The others are being trained, so it
Yes.
is basically train the trainers program.
Yes, yes. Okay.
And once those are trained and the hardware and other equipment has been bought, the center will be established in a new building which Ministry of Posts has
Just
already
inaugurated,
created.
yeah.
It's on number 6
Yeah.
highway, somewhere around that.
Yeah, yeah.
So that, I guess, will be a new symbol of government-to-government cooperation. But besides government-to-government, we are also looking at working with
Yes.
the people.
Ambassador, I think there's also the other sub-regional, I mentioned the Mekong Ganga
Yes,
initiative that we could also pull in this resource and make that sector a very potent tool for development.
You really touched on a very pertinent channel of cooperation that we've already created, the
Yes.
Mekong Ganga Cooperation Initiatives. Under this, we've already taken several initiatives. Some on cultural side. You would know, for example, we established a textiles
Yes.
museum in Siem Reap,
Yes, it's
which
beautiful.
showcases our shared cultural heritage in terms of textiles. We are under the MGC initiative, since our Vice President visited last year, we've been able to launch 10 small projects. These are called quick impact projects in different areas, from agriculture to women's empowerment to, in fact, day before yesterday, we launched a project with Ministry of Environment
Yes, yes.
to provide water supply in a remote community.
Yes.
So as a part of these MGC initiatives,
Yeah.
cooperation between our young businessmen and interchange and exchange of
Yes,
ideas
yes.
between them would certainly be a very good initiative.
Well, I think speaking of young entrepreneur, I think when we come back from the break, Sandeep, maybe you can tell us a bit more how the chamber is working with the Young Entrepreneur Association, the Cambodian Women Association, and perhaps I also would like to touch a bit more on the future of a cooperation, in the sense that, yeah, we talk about IT and everything, but don't forget Cambodia is primarily an agrarian society.
Right.
How do we sort of like capitalize on our soil, on our weather, on our water?
Sure.
So that'd be a good point to.
That, I think, would be a very good discussion.
Yes, indeed. Sandeep, from the chamber perspective, you mentioned you have a lot of activity with our chamber and our Young Entrepreneur Association. What sort of activity? And of course, the ICT Federation is a major actor there.
Dr. Siphana, as I was telling you in the other room while you were waiting for my that this has been our first move with YEEC and CWA. They have been attending our events for a very long time, all embassy events and everything. But to do a formal event together with them is going to be the first time day after tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
I had meetings with both the presidents of CWA and YEAC, and they also feel that it is time that they can cooperate with us, India, as in particular, like they're doing with some other chambers as well. So let's see. I mean, this how they have been very cooperative. We look forward to a participation of about 100 people in this. Probably 60-65 would be from both the organizations of CWA and YEAC. They are members from different industry. This platform we wanted to expose to our Indian business houses because they have been cooperating with the delegations coming from India from different trades. But CWC, CCC and all they have attended events. But with CWA and YEAC, we wanted more interaction with our groups. So there can be of interest of business which can be looked into by our business groups here. Apart from that, as YEAC president has actually been to India in the CLMV conference last year, and we want more exposures from Cambodia to India in our trade fairs, in our exhibitions, so they will know more about, and we will also try, Ambassador is doing that, to bring in more trade delegations from Cambodia in the small sectors, medium sectors, so that YEAC, CWA, I don't know, Ambassador, whether we have CWA Women Association in India.
There is. All our chambers of commerce, whether it is Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry or Confederation of Indian Industry, the two largest chambers, they have their women wing, and which is very active. And so next time, if we can get a delegation from CWA to go to India, they can have an interaction with the FICCI or the CIA ladies delegation.
Or the other way around also, they can also come over.
True. I mean, so the opportunities are there.
Opportunities are there.
It's only a matter of getting them connected.
And similarly for youth also, we will try to see.
Good. Well, Master, Cambodia for the last several years, we are trying to get back into the production export of rice, which we're doing well. We got 9 million tons of paddy. We consume about half, and the other half we try to export. But we are in between the two biggest rice exporter. India is also a major exporter. Right. I think you have India, Thailand, Vietnam, and little Cambodia moving in. Let's not forget, Myanmar is also a major rice producer also. But I always say that there got to be other opportunity in planting other crop. And India is your major consumption is in other than rice. Yes. Beans and other cereal. What do you think of that?
Well, you brought in a very, very pertinent topic. In fact, I'm reminded here of a discussion which Samdech Prime Minister had again with our Vice President, but which he referred to earlier this year in the meeting of Cambodia Rice Federation.
Yes.
And he had told our Prime Minister, why is it that the developing countries tend to compete for trade in areas where each of us are a producer? So you mentioned about rice. India is the largest rice exporter, one of the largest rice exporters. We export a different quality, type of rice, and Thailand is a bigger one. So
different type of rice.
Yeah, there are different type of rice, but in a sense, rice eating is very much linked to your cultural habits. Now, if you were to presume that I would export a rice of my variety and certainly expect my Cambodian friends to start eating that is going to be a very difficult thing to do.
Yes.
So therefore, the scope of rice exports gets limited.
Yes.
Because each one has a distinct market.
Yes.
Now, Cambodia's rice exports will be competing against, I think, rice, the Thailand rice or rice from Vietnam.
Yes.
And given that those are very large economies, you might face competition. So you're very right. We should look at alternate.
What do you have in mind for that?
In India, for example, Indians eat a lot of pulses.
Yes.
Various kinds of small yellow beans or black beans. It's an essential part of our diet because a lot of Indians are vegetarian.
Yes.
Even those who are not vegetarian would eat pulses every day.
That's a lot of
protein.
Protein, right?
So it's a very vital source of protein. And our production, domestic production of pulses, does not meet the demand that we have.
Yes.
And the demand is increasing. So our government is consistently trying to seek countries from where we can import pulses. For example, you mentioned about Myanmar.
Yes,
Myanmar
yes.
is a very big trade partner, and Myanmar exports to India huge amount of black beans or urad dal every year.
Yeah.
Recently, Myanmar State Councillor, Madam Aung San Suu Kyi, was in India in October, and they have signed another agreement to procure such pulses on a long-term basis.
Yes.
Similar agreements have been signed with Mozambique and other countries. So, I have a thought, and I wish we'll have to discuss it more with Government of Cambodia, but I wish to...
You have to start
hear
from
this.
somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
If Myanmar can export a lot of pulses, and pulses can be grown in a more hardy climate, doesn't require that much water and paddy wood.
Okay.
I would presume Cambodia would also provide adequate and good conditions, both
Well,
weather
if
and
Myanmar can grow, we about the same latitude.
so same kind of climatic
Yes, yes,
conditions,
yes.
weather and soil, etc.
Yes.
So you should be able to grow
Yes.
pulses also. I know Cambodia grows mung bean,
Yes.
but in a small quantity.
Small quantity.
Mung beans, if mung beans can be grown, other kinds of beans can
Yes.
also be grown. If these were to be grown on a larger scale,
Yes.
I am
By
sure.
larger scale, are you talking? Give me a number.
Well, I am not an expert, so I don't
That
really
is
know.
viable, right?
It's easily viable
Yes, yeah.
because from Myanmar, I think we import several millions of tons.
Wow.
And as I see, Cambodia produces about 36,000 tons of green beans.
Oh my God.
Whereas Myanmar produces about 1 million, and
Yes.
we import
Okay,
majority
okay.
of it.
So
So if these were to be scaled up,
yes.
and not just mung bean, but there are other kinds of beans which can be grown. If these were to be, let's say, grown in large areas of Cambodia, you would find a ready market in India.
So not much to compete with other countries.
Not much to compete with.
Yes.
So you have a ready market in India. India's population is 1.2 billion, and although our rate of growth is coming down, but it's a large base.
Still, yeah.
So the demand is always going
Yes,
to be there.
yeah.
As I mentioned, in India we don't have enough domestic supply. So you have a ready market
Yes.
where you can supply. And that will fetch your farmers better
Probably
prices.
better price. You're right.
Probably better prices. It requires much less water, so you don't need much irrigation facilities.
Okay.
You can probably grow twice in a season, and this will be an agricultural expert. But
Yes.
this is an area which I think we can certainly mutually win-win cooperation
yes.
can be certainly done. We are working on agricultural sector. We are training several of Cambodian friends in India on different
Horticulture?
aspects, such as horticulture or extension services, which is what Cambodian government had requested. But I think possible cooperation in this area of pulses, which would require, I think, push from governments of both sides, because farmers will have to be encouraged to
Yes.
grow pulses. They have to be trained how to grow it, and we can certainly look at if there is training to be provided, whether India can provide the training and then import the pulses which are grown here back to India. Certainly that kind of an idea can be explored, and I do intend to take it up with the
Oh,
Ministry of Agriculture.
this is great because this could be, I would say, a Cambodia way to diversify
Certainly.
its agriculture. Because to me, diversification can take two forms. One, you diversify more product, but the other one, you diversify your market also.
Right.
And what you said, it's very logical. You are having a market who have a constant demand for many years to come, if not more demand.
True.
Because I think with pulse, does it people as they move up the scale of society, they consume more pulse?
Well,
or?
they'll consume more pulses because see, pulses are a vital source of protein for Indian population.
Yes.
As I mentioned, large number of Indians do not eat meat.
Yes.
So proteins are obtained from either dairy products, and India today is the largest producers of dairy goods
Yes.
and largest consumer also.
Yes. Yeah.
Pulses are therefore another.
Yes.
Now, each family in India, on an average, will have pulses at least once a day.
Once
and they
a
would
day.
want to have at least twice a day,
Okay.
both at lunch and dinner.
Okay.
Just to give an example, yesterday I was seeing a tweet
Yes.
put out by our Ministry of Agriculture, that they are going to stock buffer stocks of pulses to ensure against price rises
Yes. Okay.
when the shortage season comes.
Pulse can also be made for dessert, right?
Well, I'm not in
okay,
so I can't really tell you, but I'm sure
Sure.
creative chefs can find a way
Yes,
to
yeah,
make.
But it's Cambodia we use for dessert.
Oh, okay.
That green inside yellow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's small, tiny there.
Okay.
Outside is green, right?
Outside is green.
But after you cook,
It becomes
it's
yellow.
yellow.
Yes.
That's for dessert. This is our favorite dessert. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So pulses is certainly an area which
Yes.
which I would certainly like
Yes.
to work with.
Good. Well, your ambassador, I think we could talk another 2 hours.
I'm sure we can.
But I think
and I would be more interested to talk.
But I think that will be the subject of probably another session where we can focus to deepen a bit the discussion between our two countries. Unfortunately, for this particular show, it's coming to an end. But I just want to wrap up, particularly for the audience, that please, look at India as a prospective source of growth for your company, for our society, but more than anything for our country. Because, as we diversify our economy, we have to constantly be competitive. We have to constantly looking for market. And I believe that with India, Act East policy, the policy environment is conducive. The ambassador mentioned about the framework to establish a bilateral investment treaty. These are all the elements that will enable private sector to jump in to do business. So I really encourage you all to consider that and work with the chamber of India Cambodia Chamber. And hopefully a few years from now, we see, more trade investment, for Cambodia, for the prosperity for all of us. So Ambassador, thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you,
I
Dr.
noticed you
Siphana.
have the same thing.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Well, that's again,
Yes.
that's again a similarity of culture.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you again for this
Yes.
opportunity.
Yeah.
And I certainly, as you mentioned, the time is short and it
Yes.
is flown.
Yes.
But I do look forward to an opportunity again
Yes.
to discuss more aspects of our bilateral cooperation.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.